Hey guys, Impulse Plays here. Now, today I'm bringing you a new series with the Dark Souls trilogy I'm going to be working through to get the platinum. Now, unfortunately, my old footage got corrupted and I already got some of the trophies, so I'll have to edit them in and add them in the right spots. But we start off locked in a dungeon, and our dungeon key gets thrown to us from the roof. We use it to exit this, and this is where we get our first trophy for lighting the bonfire. We then make our way through this asylum, picking up some weapons and some shields on the way, and then we run into Oscar, who was the guy who let us out. We listen to him talk. He gives us the Estus flasks, and this is where we get our second trophy. Making our way through the asylum again, we come to the boss door, we go through it, and we see the asylum demon. Now he's very easy to take out. We do a drop attack on him, which gives us 31 damage, and we just carry on. Unfortunately, we die from his butt attack, but we try again. And as we try again, we use a better weapon, which gives us more damage, so we take off almost half his health with that drop shot attack, and we finally finish this boss off, which then drops us the key, so we can escape this asylum. We run up to this little ledge, and as we walk up, we get attacked by a giant crow. Here is the crow, who then grabs us and will drop us to Firelink, which will then give us our third trophy. While we're at Firelink, we check out our stats and we can level up a little bit, and we make our way through until we reach the merchant. Now I buy a short bow and I buy as many wooden arrows as I can for a bit later date. Next, we get attacked by this Black Knight over and over, which started to become a rage fest. But in the end, we managed to take out the Black Knight, finish him off, which then, luckily enough, gave us his Black Knight sword, which I will be using for the rest of the run. We then come into contact with the Tartarus demon, and a few jump shots, a few drop shots, and that boss is toast. There we go. Second boss down. We then make our way through with that victory achieved on us. We then run into the NPC that everyone adores, Knight Solaire. We then progress through his quest line, and we see this dragon on the bridge just a bit in front of him. And obviously I am very bad with archery in this game. We finally get our first hit on the tail, which causes the dragon, so I speed this up 15 times speed. It took a fair few arrows, I'd say, of hitting the tail, but once you finally break off the tail, you get a very cool and very rare weapon, which is very good for the start of the game until you get to around Sen's Fortress. But unfortunately, that's as far as it will go. It's very hard to upgrade because you need dragon scales, but we carry on and we power through, and we make our way to the next boss fight, where we actually see Knight Solaire. We can use him to summon, and this is where we find the gargoyles, which are protecting the first bell we need to ring. So me and Solaire power through, end up fighting these gargoyles. I cut the tail off for a trophy down the line of collecting tail weapons and rare weapons, but we then finish off both gargoyles with another victory achieved message, make our way to the top of the bell tower, and we ring the bell tower for another trophy, and that is the first bell tower rang. as we make our way back down, we do a duplication glitch for these souls, just to make it easier on ourselves throughout this game. I'll be using this duplication glitch, but we pick up fireballs and find a location for the next boss to cheese by throwing fireballs over, which puts him down at very low health and also takes out the dogs that charge, because I found this fight very annoying. But we get the key to the depths, and then we make our way down through the depths, which is a very annoying place and a very hard place to navigate, but we find our way through it. We find Solaire, and we make it into this next boss fight. The boss designs in this game honestly are awesome. I can't fault this game at all. I had so much fun playing it. We make our way into the Gaping Dragon. Me and Solaire tag team up and finally defeat this dragon, which then gives us the Blighttown key. But lucky for us, because we chose the master key in our character selection, that allows us to unlock the back door for Blighttown, so it's an easier run for us. We make our way into Blighttown, and I end up fighting the NPC that attacks you, and there you can see I use her to summon in for this fight against Quelaag. Now coming into this fight, you see it's a giant spider, and I think most people hate spiders, but I feel I have changed, and I feel I don't mind spiders, not for, any particular reason. A wink wink, nudge nudge, But as we get through to this fight, she's quite a easy fight if you know her attacks, and she stands still when she does most of her attacks, so she's an easy target to hit. But we get our next boss and our next trophy. We then ring the bell, and that's the second bell rung, which then gives us another trophy. And also we get a cutscene of the giants over in Sen's Fortress pulling the gate open for us to access. And unfortunately, this is where the Drake sword will become pretty much useless, because it doesn't scale, and it's quite hard to get dragon scales. So I use the Black Knight sword, and we open up the illusionary wall and find Quelaag's sister. So I talk to her to join our covenant, which then gives us another trophy, and then I dupe to get 99 souls, and I offer up 30 so we can open up the shortcut for later on, because we don't want Solaire getting overrun by the sunlight maggots. So we open up the shortcut to save him, but that'll be later on. We also get some pyromancies, and then we make our way down into Darkroot Basin to defeat another Black Knight, which drops us the Black Knight shield, which I pretty much use throughout the end game, and we end up coming against the Moonlight Butterfly. Now this fight, I pretty much did nothing, since I summoned a mage which was able to shoot while she was flying. But once we've done that, we then make our way to Sen's Fortress, which was a bit of an annoying part for some parts of it, but we get through it easily enough. And then we come and fight the Iron Golem with another summon, and boom, another boss down, which then drops the Ring of Light. So we examine it, and as we examine it, we get snatched up by 3 gargoyles, and they end up taking us to one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, Anolondo. Now this place visually is stunning, and it is something else. Gameplay wise, can be quite annoying, as you could probably see from many deaths. There was one there falling off. That one, I don't even know. My sword just repelled me. Trying to get past these little archers on this small balcony is just horrendous. But in the end, we finally made it, and we see Solaire resting at this bonfire. So we talk to him to advance his quest, which then makes us able to summon him in for the twins fight. Now these bosses, they were amazing. Good design. They just, everything was just so right about them. So we end up going to, I think we chose to kill Ornstein in this one, because you only get one soul. So obviously you have to go into New Game Plus to get both their souls, and I think Smough in a New Game Plus is harder because he has his AoE attacks and his giant hammer has a completely unreliable hitbox. So we decide to get Smough's soul in our first run, and taking out Smough was pretty easy. So there's the soul of Smough. We then make our way up into the back room of this boss fight to find Big Mummy Milkers, I mean Guinevere, just sat there, and many people love this place for, well, no need to explain. She then gives us the Lord Vessel, which we end up going to place down, but she also gives us the power to warp, which makes things a lot easier getting around. So we walk back to Firelink Shrine. We get eaten by this giant serpent, who takes us down before Gwyn's area. Now to access Gwyn, you need to place the Lord Vessel down, and you need to find the 4 Lord Souls and put them into the Lord Vessel. So here you can see we put the Lord Vessel down, and a giant beam of light shoots up into the sky, meaning it's activated and it needs the souls to open the giant door that's behind it. We then go back to where we defeated Quelaag, and there is another doorway pretty much leading you into hell itself. So we make our way through, defeat the first boss, which was easy, kill these maggots and acquire the Sunlight Maggot, which will save Solaire later on. We then defeat the second boss, Fire Stage. These are all optional bosses, they're not mandatory. I think I think there is ways around them. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. Me and Solaire, we then beat the Centipede Demon, which then makes us to our first Lord Vessel, Bed of Chaos. Now, to acquire this, I did a cheese method of, when you first drop down, she doesn't attack you. So you make your way to either one of the sides, and you destroy, and you get that cutscene. Then you quit. Then when you quit and you load back up, you end up outside the boss arena, but the damage you've done is already done. So you drop down and you're pretty much just centered back again. So if you can make your way to the other side, we break that, we get another cutscene where things get set on fire. We then return to the lobby again, because we can just slide back down, center up, and just run forward, avoiding her arms onto this branch. And if we quickly make our way through all these little branches, you can see she's lying there with a one hit. That is the Bed of Chaos done. There is another trophy and a Lord's Soul acquired. We then use the dupe glitch on more souls, which will then allow me to purchase a lot of stuff and purchase a lot of armor that I feel like I just want to, you know, rock, because it's all about style and souls. We then make our way into the painted world, which can be accessed in Anolondo. We get sucked into the painting right here, and we end up in a new little world where it's not particularly difficult, but we make our way through and we end up seeing Priscilla. Now, she doesn't attack straight away, but once you hit her, she'll turn invisible for a little bit. But we finally get to slice off her tail, which gives us Priscilla's dagger, and we finish her off to get another trophy and the soul of Priscilla. Now, we need these for the boss weapons, which are for a trophy. So we go through. Each boss normally has 2 weapons, so you do have to go into New Game Plus to defeat him. We then make our way down through the graveyard, and we make our way to one of the hardest bosses in Dark Souls. And this boss is Pinwheel. Now, Pinwheel seems to be obsessed with Gravelord Nito, which you will fight a bit later, but he's 3 hits with a decent sword and he's finished. He then drops the Rite of Kindling, which allows you to kindle more flasks if you need them at a bonfire. We then collect more souls while running through one of the most annoying areas for me in this game, because there was so many giants and skeletons and all sorts. But eventually we make our way to the boss fight against Gravelord Nito. We then pretty much finish him off with ease, being careful not to alert any of the giant skeletons. So we defeat Gravelord Nito for another trophy and for the second Lord's Soul. We then make our way back to Anolondo to defeat Gwendolyn. He's an annoying boss because he just teleports and shoots magic projectiles at you, but if you can get close enough and swing on a few hits like you see me, then he's not too hard. We get our next trophy and another soul. We then defeat the Hydra down in Darkroot Basin to access the DLC. Now, I only accessed the DLC for the sole purpose of getting an alternate cutscene for Sif, the Sif fight. You don't have to do this, but we made our way in, and straight away you end up fighting the Sanctuary Guardian, which then gives us another soul. Knight Artorias, which is a very annoying boss fight in my opinion. Very well designed, but boy oh boy does he hit hard. But we finish him off, and then we make our way down through the catacombs and we find Sif locked up here. Now, Sif was Artorias' side, so he's locked up. We rescue him and he gives us the cleansing great shield. Then we were able to summon him in the Manus fight. So we defeat Manus on the 4th attempt, maybe, using Sif as help. We then, as we exit, we are told that we have to defeat Calamite, which was an annoying boss fight because I was trying to go for the tail weapon, but in the end I just thought, I just want you gone. So after defeating the DLC, we then decide to make our way to Sif. Now, because we've made our way to Sif, after rescuing him, he pushes us down. He gives us a little sniff, as you can see there. And then he recognises that we were the ones who rescued him. So we get an alternate cutscene. And he howls to the moon because he knows he has to defeat you in order to stop you turning out like his master. Which is very sad. And I really loved this boss fight, but I didn't like attacking Sif. But unfortunately, I had to put an end to her for the Art of Abyss Walking trophy. We then come into contact with Sif, and we choose to die because you have to die at this part. It's impossible to get him. So I use a ring of sacrifice so we don't lose anything. And we end up in this cell. After fighting our way through the cell and going across these invisible bridges, we finally reach the boss fight. You see a little beacon that is sat there, and you see Sif flying around, and he'll land. You run up to the beam. If you break the beam, you're able to damage Sif. Now I get the Moonlight Greatsword, so then I fully send it and finish him off for our next Lord Soul and our next trophy. After this, we put the Abyss Walking ring on, and we go down and we fight the Four Kings, which will be our last Lord Soul that we need. So we go through. After defeating the Four Kings, this boss fight was relatively easy, especially with a summon. And we get our next trophy and our last Lord Soul. So before we go into Gwyn, I decide to upgrade a weapon to plus 15 for the strongest weapon for that trophy. Then we decide to offer up the 4 Lord Souls, which sets a light to the Lord Vessel, and Gwyn's door opens up. We then upgrade our weapon to plus 10 as a raw weapon, and a plus 5 for an oculate weapon. Then we go through for the chaos weapon, and for the enchanted weapon, and the divine weapon, unlocking all of these different trophies. I then use my last Titanite slab for the crystal weapon, and we then go through with Solaire, obviously, to finish the game off and defeat Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder. Now, I'm not very good at parrying, but I know you can parry him and defeat him within 3 backstabs, I believe. But me and Solaire decided to attack him just normally, and we get the Son of Gwyn soul. We then have 2 options. I decide for this time round I will light the bonfire, which will give me the trophy to link the fire. And before anything, you get chucked into New Game Plus, and this is where I clean up. So I decide to join each covenant, which will give us multiple trophies. I then upgrade my lightning weapon, which will give me that trophy. And we decide to go into the forest to join the forest covenant hunter. We then sit in this coffin and make our way into Nito's room before the boss fight, where we are able to join the covenant for Nito. We join the covenant, and then we make our way back to Gwendolyn to unlock our next covenant. And with each covenant you have to get to a plus 2, which you have to offer off some things to get to plus 2 to unlock different weapons. We then get Prayer of a Maiden trophy, and then after defeating the 4 kings without placing the Lord Vessel, we then see another serpent in the the Four Kings area, which will give us access to the Dark Wraith Covenant, which is a hidden secret covenant. So it was a bit of a struggle getting there, but we managed to get there in the end. So we enter this covenant for the Dark Wraith. Then we also go to Ash Lake, which I didn't believe was a thing, but here we enter this covenant for the Path of the Dragon. We then end up in Blighttown and collect all the pyromancy spells to get that trophy, and after defeating Logan with his questline, we get Wisdom of a Sage trophy. We then upgrade our fire weapon, give us the fire trophy, and also for the magic weapon. Here we defeat Gwyn again, which then will give us access to our second ending trophy. So for this one we just walk directly outside for a different cutscene, and this will give us access to the last trophy for endings, because there's only 2 in this game. And then we have to move on to probably the hardest trophy within this game, was Knight's Honor, which is collect all the boss weapons, all the tail weapons, all the rare drops from enemies. There was a lot going on, let's just say. I will post in the description everything for these trophies. So there's the Knight's Honor, and there we go. There's the platinum for the Dark Soul. Obtain all trophies. Well, I honestly love this game. It was amazing. Artwork, everything, it was perfect. So I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 for my rating. For the easiest trophy, I found it was Light the Bonfire, and for the hardest one is for Knight's Honor. So if you enjoyed, please leave a like, hit the subscribe button. We're going to go through the Dark Souls series, and thank you guys for watching. And as always, peace.